As society becomes more complex, it poses new challenges to those who study it. Every day, the world's population is being divided into hundreds of cultures, each with its own set of subcultures. With so many examples to study then, how does one pinpoint exactly which characteristics make a gathering of people more than just that? To keep pace with the changing faces of so many cultures and subcultures, the denotative definition of the word culture is constantly changing. Culture may be defined as a historically shared system of symbolic resources through which we make our world meaningful. Through years of studying and consulting dozens of organizations, Edgar Schein developed this definition of organizational culture, a pattern of shared basic assumptions that the group learned as it solved its problems of external adaptation and internal integration that has worked well enough to be considered valid and therefore to be taught to new members as the correct way to perceive, think, and feel in relation to those problems.
LAN culture, well, it's just kind of like a subset of the computer culture in itself. There's going to be always a huge culture of people that are involved in computers because it's just been like blowing up ever since they've been invented. The LAN culture is just kind of like a narrow part of that.
When applying Schein's theories to LAN culture, it becomes clear that while this group might be all about fun and games, it is a specialized and sophisticated culture nonetheless. But what is a LAN party?
It's a party, and you have it on land, normally.
A LAN party. Maybe some type of organization?
A LAN party? I have no clue. I would guess it was computers, maybe?
A LAN party is a gathering of a group of friends. We get together with our computers, hook them up on a network, and have a good time, play games against each other. A chance to get competitive, but a chance to play the games the way they're made to be played.
This community of people where all these, gamer guys will come and bring their computers, and we'll bring them to some centralized location where we hook them all up and we just play games for like 30 hours straight and dope up on caffeine and whatnot.
The pattern of shared basic assumptions Schein includes in his definition is supported by three major components: artifacts, values, and basic assumptions. The trends that develop through each element indicate what assumptions the group holds on a subconscious level. Artifacts are the most obvious elements of that pattern. They are those things one can see, hear, and feel. LAN culture's most prominent artifacts include computers, a specialized language, caffeine drinks, and the characteristics of participants themselves.
I have a AMD Athlon XP 2400 plus processor.
I'm running what they call a server class machine. It's a dual Xeon 3.06 gig machine.
Running at 2.17 gigahertz with a 166 megahertz frontside bus. I have 1 gig of Corsair XMS PC2700 RAM.
There's a couple of hard drive caddies that are in the front of the computer that I actually had special ordered from Japan and shipped over because they're just that unique.
ATI Radeon 9700 Pro memory video card.
Video card's ATI Radeon 9800 Pro.
On an Enforce 3 or Enforce 2 rather motherboard. It's in the Asus A7N8X Deluxe board.
Turtle Beach Santa Cruz sound card.
I have a Sound Blaster Live video sound card as well.
It's a gigabyte of RAM per processor, so 2 gigabytes of RAM total.
I have 2 Western Digital Raptors, 36 gigabytes each, running at 10,000 RPMs in a RAID 0 configuration.
It's something that serves me well. It's more than the average home user would ever think of using for themselves, but it's still not enough for me.
Artifacts aren't always as obvious as what meets the eye. While physical objects may be the most obvious, forms of address and jargon are included in a culture's language and therefore considered artifacts as well. LAN members use handles or nicknames rather than real names to address each other.
Your name is usually, it's called a handle. And that's the name that you go by. My handle's the Wang. Played a lot of, when I first started gaming, played a lot of like Tekken and Tekken Tag Tournament when I was on Xbox and whatnot. And there's this character on there called Wang. We always called him the Wang. So, and he was like my guy.
My gaming handle is Spec Ops. It's short for Special Operations. It's kind of a combination of a couple of different things. I'm a former Marine. I served in the Gulf War. And when I got out and moved up to the Sacramento area, I started working for Intel. And within my group,
I kind of always got handed the projects that didn't quite fit. They're always the special operations.
To adapt to the nature of communicating over time and distance, the LAN culture uses discussion boards on the internet. The group uses these boards to organize upcoming parties, set rules of conduct, or simply to keep in touch with each other. Within each culture, a specialized language develops. LAN culture is no exception. For example, a popular in-game term is to frag, but what does this mean?
Like, go on strike from an organization.
I used to watch Fraggle Rock, and that could be associated with that.
I do not know what a frag is, and I don't want to go there with guessing either.
Frag is a term for being killed. It's a way of, putting a spin on some nasty words. You talk about getting killed, it's a negative thing. You talk about getting fragged, it's fun.
They're all like techies. They'll speak in like acronyms and whatnot, so everything's like, yeah, your AGP and your PCI and your CPU and your IDE,
The computer jargon, we talk about, being hooked up to a gig port. It means you're on a gigabit connection, which is a really fast connection. We talk about noobs, which are new people to the gaming scene, or newbies to computers or to the whole scene. Like any type of pop culture, there's the jargon that goes along with it.
LAN parties often last an entire weekend and leave little room for sleep. Members have adopted highly caffeinated drinks to stay awake.
I've always been a fan of Dr. Pepper, so you'll see everyone else has their coffees or their Mountain Dew or whatnot, their Red Bull, Rockstar. I always have my 12-pack of Dr. Pepper at every LAN, but you need something to drink when you're sitting in front of a computer. Coffee's just a pain to make and keep warm, so the idea is to have like chilled caffeinated drinks. Soda doesn't have nearly enough caffeine. You have to drink like 6 sodas to have like 1 cup of coffee. So like the caffeine in soda just isn't enough to really affect how long you're gonna stay up. Balls is like the big one because they like target their marketing for gamers. Like if you go, their motto is like gamers drink, and stuff like that. When you stay up till 5 and then get like 4 hours of sleep and then get back up and then game till like 5 that night and then you finally go back to sleep for the weekend, you need something to keep you up for that span of time. So caffeine's key.
Many of the artifacts you'll find at parties serve a practical purpose.
If you're a gamer, a lot of times you'll bring your chair. A lot of times they don't supply chairs, or if they do, they're little metal fold-up ones. You don't want to be sitting in those for like 12 hours at a time. I had a little stuffed penguin that I had to keep on top of my monitor and stuff. You'll bring like your wall of CDs in case you need to install something, maybe some blank CDs unless you need to burn something. You never hurt to bring like an extra keyboard, an extra mouse, extra speakers and stuff. Something to bring instead of, in case something breaks. You basically bring everything you would use if you were to use your computer on a day-to-day basis with you. So you set up your little corner there on your table and it's like you were at home.
But what about the people who go to these LAN parties? Who are they, and what are they like?
I think of like a single lonely white male.
It's like Bill Gates' stepchild, definitely. And he doesn't have a girlfriend.
He has a lot of hair, and he's not very tan considering he's on his computer most of the time.
He likes to wear a bow tie and glasses, and sometimes he's always prepared for when a flood's coming.
It's the typical nerd type, weirdos. It's okay. In a good way, though.
He likes to go to cartoon movies, like Disney movies, and he likes Starburst.
I would think of a normal person, just anybody.
What would they look like?
Like you and me.
That's a pretty good roundabout description, I would say.
There's a definite powerful stigma that goes along with computer geeks.
You ask most people, the number one answer off the top of their head is going to be a computer geek or a geek.
They're definitely not what I would describe as on a whole extroverted people. On a majority of them, the younger crowd, the guys that are like 18, 20 and whatnot. A lot of them are definitely like their life is computers. So when your whole niche is like that specific, the idea of you like bumping into people on a day-to-day basis that share that in common with you aren't that likely. So you would seem more shy of those people. You don't have much more to talk about other than that. But when you're surrounded by other people that share that common interest, you're obviously a lot more outgoing. And just the fact that they'll go and they'll get out and they'll actually meet these people and get together and have like a LAN party. You know, it's called a party because it actually isn't, you know, a sense of party. Kind of disproves a little bit of that.
The values of a culture are made up of the individuals within it. Members of the LAN culture value a sense of camaraderie. They are quick to help each other with problems big and small. They also put an emphasis on individuality. The culture encourages members to stand out as individuals within it, rather than conform to a mold.
A computer breaks down, there's a room full of people who know something about computers and varying levels of experience and everything else, and we always want to help, you know, another gamer game, you know, and be a part of the group. If somebody's not having a good time, we try and figure out what we need to do to make sure they're having a good time. Computer breaks, we'll figure out how to fix it.
When you're not at LAN, if you have a problem, you know, someone's always there to help you out. You know, it's like free tech support. You don't see camaraderie like that very often, especially from people that only see each other once a month. You know.
Regeneration do anyway?
Regeneration?
Regenerate what? Your health?
Your health, yeah.
Okay.
Nowhere is the emphasis on individuality more apparent than in the members' highly modified computers, or rigs. So what does this all say about LAN culture? A culture's assumptions are deeply rooted in its subconscious. They have been so widely accepted for so long that they become as automatic as breathing is to you and me.
Sometimes, and we have had the occasion where a younger kid has come in and tried to overexert himself and really tried too hard to be in with the group, and he kind of alienated people around him, and you know, it had some. He doesn't come to the LAN parties anymore because he didn't have fun. He spent too much time trying to be a part of rather than just being a part of.
So when the newbie in Eric's story tried to be the group rather than himself within the group, he unknowingly violated a core assumption that the individual is a vital component of the culture. Another assumption is evident in the group's refusal to accept the labels and connotations created by society at large.
You know, geek used to be a thing that was an insult. You know, for most of us, it's a compliment. You know, it's I don't know, it's like a label that anybody chooses to take on themselves. Some people say we're antisocial. I think we're more social than a lot of people. You know, as far as being geeks, we have, you know, an interest and desire to, you know, game and to do things. Some people like put the same sort of effort into tennis or cars or any sort of hobby. It's the same thing.
Their reconstruction and subsequent acceptance of the term geek is an example of this assumption. When one delves deeper in search of evidence of this assumption, one might see the group's tendency to take negative aspects of reality and turn them into something positive in the virtual world. So how does LAN culture fit into the rest of society?
It'll always be a part of society. You don't have to be a computer geek to own a computer. I mean, everyone has one now, and more and more people are starting to play games. And, you know, everyone, you know, has that one game, you know, that they were addicted to for, you know, however many months or whatever, you know, just kind of went to work, came home and played that game, and you would never know by looking at them, but almost everyone has that one game that they play, and so it's kind of interesting to see the types of, the variety of people that you'll see at LAN.
You know, like any other club or activity, or, you know, we're here at a bowling alley and you've got the bowling leagues. It's the same type of thing.
If an outside person was to walk in and see that perspective, they would probably be like, wow, you know, I didn't think all these computer nerds, you know, got together and actually like had a good time. That's amazing.
So just like any hobby, like sports,
Nice hit, Jake. Go. There you go.
photography, or rebuilding cars, LAN culture is just another subsystem of the suprasystem of society. As society becomes more complex, it poses new challenges to those who study it. Every day, the world's population is being divided into hundreds of cultures, each with its own set of subcultures. I could do it like Captain Kirk. With so many examples to study then, how does one pinpoint exactly which